You're watching CarTell.tv and I'm Jenny. Now before I tell you about this hot and spicy hatch behind me, I want to take a second to tell you about our partners Oz Loans. Need a car loan? Not only do they find you the best deal on finance, but they're also giving away a free holiday to one of 18 4-star hotel locations across Australia and New Zealand to anyone who settles a car loan through our CarTell.tv link. Follow the link to our partner page for more info. And seriously, head to our socials because we are giving away so much cool stuff. There is this i30 remote control car, a $2,000 Australian holiday, and N gear from Hyundai. Go now! Go, go! Now, let me tell you about this feisty little hatch behind me. That one, not this one. It mightn't look it, but the 2021 i30 hatch is a new model. I mean, we didn't expect it to be an all-new model like the i30 Sedan. The N version of the hatch isn't at the same styling level just yet, but this revamp brought with it some very serious upgrades. Most notably, a dual-clutch transmission. Yes, I also love the experience of driving a manual in a hot hatch, and it's not quite the same without one. But there will be a lot of people out there like myself who will appreciate this auto edition. Now, what I have here is the N Premium, which is actually the top trim in the i30 range, with a massive panoramic sunroof. I have to say, I'm a bit nostalgic for the old days when a hot hatch meant a manual gearbox. Now, considering how much I enjoyed driving this with a DCT, I actually feel a little bit guilty. Am I becoming a hot hatch progressive? In terms of design, this is still a hot hatch, and I love that. It's basically a hot hatch with a lower stance, bigger wheels, and some styling additions to make it stand out from the average i30. This latest update brought sleeker full LED headlights and a lower front section, new 19-inch forged alloy wheels, which are lighter now and actually save up to 15 kilograms of combined weight. There's also bigger brake rotors that only begin to explain how good this car brakes. The rear comes with a more aggressive look as well, with this roof spoiler and more prominent diffuser compared to the standard model. Basically all your standard hot hatch stuff, and I like it. However, the all-new i30 Sedan, which is the latest iteration of what we used to call the Elantra, looks a lot different. I am so excited for the next generation of the i30 hatch, and to see how they incorporate those ideas into the hatch body and how they're going to spice it up. The engine is still a 2-litre twin-scroll turbo petrol, which now produces 206 kilowatts and 392 newton-meters of torque from 2,100 to 4,700 revs. This is a very noticeable increase in torque, and the wide torque curve makes this thing a joy to drive. Not only as a performance vehicle, but also as an everyday city car. But we'll get to that. Before that, I should tell you it has the new Hyundai DCT with 8 speeds and wet clutch, and that is a major plus. Now, to put it simply, driving this thing is a blast. The gearbox makes the best of the dual clutch nature, and it actually doesn't bring in the downsides of Ford's power shift and to some extent VW's DSG we're infamous for. It shifts really fast. It really gives you that continual acceleration feel, similar to like a single gear electric car. On the other hand, with these few days of testing, we felt none of those lurches that some older dual clutch models got us used to. Me gusto mucho! The manual mode is really good with sharp shifts, and you can pre-select gears so they jump to the gear of your choice the moment the engine produces the revs to match. Get it on the track, practice a bit, and this feature alone will give you heaps of downshifting fun. In terms of reliability, the new wet clutch helps a lot, and this gearbox was actually developed to keep up with the stress produced in track driving. So it should be more than capable of dealing with performance tasks, and it is. In terms of handling and suspension, we get this front LSD and we also get a special Aussie tune. While those generally do help with comfort over bad roads, the i30N is a little harsh. It's a performance car, it's got to be a lot stiffer to help you cut corners. Drive modes change the way the car feels significantly. They are called Normal, Sport and Eco, which are pretty self-explanatory names. Thanks, Hyundai. The Normal mode is actually pretty nice in terms of comfort, despite the hardcore hardware setup. It also makes the steering lighter, more suitable for everyday city driving. Get it into sport and everything changes. The ride stiffens, steering wheel becomes heavier, which is just awesome, and the throttle response is super sharp. And the gearbox immediately shows why DCTs are so good for a performance setting. Eco makes this car feel slightly more gutless, but only slightly. But unless you desperately need to reach the next petrol station on fumes, I doubt you'll be in eco very often. However, tap the button on the right and get it into the N mode and you will see that the sport was just an increment. Everything goes up a notch and the exhaust note becomes more aggressive with those tasty pops and bangs. The whole experience, from the soundtrack to the actual behaviour of the car, gets geared towards performance. And that really makes the i30N shine. And that N mode button? That's basically the trigger for beast mode. And with many of the safety nannies turned off, you will have to make sure you are in the right conditions and have the skills needed to keep this beast tame. Honestly, sports mode on its own is fun enough for some feisty driving fun on most occasions. There's also a custom mode where you can choose the individual features you like, and that is a very nice perk once you're a bit more familiar with the car and you have a clearer idea of what a certain mode lacks or has too much of. On the inside, it's a little bit more noticeable that this is not the latest in terms of design. Don't get me wrong, it looks fine. I mean, it's pretty simple, which is better than weird, but it is a little bit outdated, especially when we compare it to the all-new Sedan interior, which is way more modern. What I'm not a huge fan of in this old setup is some of the materials. I mean, this is the top of the line i30N, and while not all these are truly hard plastics, I feel like some of these surface materials could have just been a little bit more refined. This is probably the most obvious sign of the age of this design. This really has that classic hot hatch nostalgia. But to be fair, in practical terms, it's awesome. All the controls are easy to reach, and it really just takes a little bit of time behind the wheel, and you can use most of them without looking. I do love the ergonomics. Everything feels really at hand, and that enhances that hot hatch nature. The screen is diagonally 10.25 inches, which is awesome. It's a familiar unit and it comes with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I like that these are touch-sensitive buttons here, and you've still got the physical volume knob in the middle. It also has the N mode, where you use the screen to customize the driving features. The steering wheel is pretty much the same, which is good. You get all the familiar controls and the mode selectors to turn your hot hatch into a steaming hatch. There are some quirks here as well, like the N in the seats, which lights up. I mean, that is cool, but on the other hand, the seats are only manually adjustable. They supposedly save 2.2 kilograms combined in weight, but personally, I would take the creature comfort. You get all the standard storage spaces, cup, bottle holders, armrest bin, door pockets, glove box, and similar. The front has two 12V sockets and one USB alongside a wireless charger, as well as heated front seats and steering wheel. But with how hot this hatch gets, I'd be more inclined to go for the cooled. Legroom and headroom in the back is good. It's not spectacular, but the comfort is good, and there's an armrest and cup holders. And my precious. But there isn't any air vents or chargers back here. Oh, you do lose a few points for that, but gain a few for the panoramic sunroof. The boot holds 381 litres and the seats do fold 60/40 for almost 1,300. But there is a prominent step up. Of course, it's forgiven because it helps increase rigidity and therefore keeps the ferocity of the driving experience. When it comes to safety, we get anti-lock braking system, EBD, hill start assist, traction control, vehicle stability management, blind spot collision avoidance assist, driver attention warning, forward collision avoidance assist, high beam assist, lane following assist, lane keep assist, leading vehicle departure alert, rear cross traffic collision avoidance assist, safe exit warning, emergency stop signal, and tyre pressure monitoring system. Prices for the i30N start at $44,500 for a 6-speed manual, and the entry DCT will cost $47,500, and this top premium with the sunroof costs $52,000. Remember to check out Oz Loans and you can own your own i30N from as little as $157 a week. Now, from a driving perspective, the i30N is just awesome. It's so much fun to drive, and that is its primary target. And for that, it gets a bullseye. What's not so good is the age is starting to show in other aspects. Backseat amenities are lacking, and some of the materials, as we mentioned, could be better. Luckily for the i30N, any of its minute misgivings are instantly forgotten the minute you start driving. Also, for those who can wait, there will be an upgrade. The next one is within a few years, and it's sure to be a serious upgrade. However, if your main want is a thrilling to drive hot hatch, then this one is already that. And yes, I love this DCT. Thanks again for watching Cartel TV. Now listen up, you need to head to our socials because we are giving away so much stuff. We are giving away this precious i20N remote control car. We have got N gear for Hyundai, and we are also giving away a $2,000 Australian holiday. So get over there, see how to enter, and we'll see you in the next review.